Hello, everybody. My name is Kim Yutani. I'm a senior programmer with the Sundance Film Festival, and it's wonderful to see you all here with your cell phones in hand. You are here for Cinema Café, and we have a great lineup this year, so if you haven't seen the full lineup, I encourage you to go to our website and check it out. We have some amazing guests, including today's guests, Chelsea Handler, who is here who screened her new series, Chelsea Does, which is on Netflix, and it's fantastic. And also, she's going to be in conversation with Morgan Spurlock, who is a Sundance vet. He is here as the executive producer of a beautiful film that's in our Sundance Kids program called The Eagle Huntress. Please welcome Morgan. And we are really thrilled to be able to collaborate with the New York Times on Cinema Café, and I want to just hand things over now to the Director of Programming of Times Talks, Carol Day.
Thanks, Kim. Hello, everyone. We are so delighted and honored to be here today and to be at Sundance again this year to present Times Talks. And we're also thrilled that we're on Sundance.org live and also on timestalks.com live today. The New York Times covers movies and film and television like we cover the world. And we salute the festivals in bringing such diverse storytellers from all over the globe to share with everyone their craft and their creativity. And we are so delighted to have with us today our moderator, who's a frequent contributor to the New York Times. So please let me introduce and please welcome our guests and our moderator, Logan Hill, Chelsea Handler, and Morgan Spurlock. Thanks.
Thanks for coming, everybody. We appreciate it. We know you got a lot of things to do here, but we think this is the best thing you could be doing right now. We're excited to be talking to these two people, one of whom has been to Sundance a whole bunch of times, and one of whom's here for the first time, right?
The first time I've been invited.
First time invited. You're just here for the swag
Crashed
right?
before, yeah.
So, Morgan, what advice do you have for
Yes,
Chelsea
please.
and any other first-timers?
Drink lots of water and comfortable shoes. Yeah. It's all about treating your liver as kindly as possible in between all the alcohol.
How's that working for you, Chelsea?
I mean, I'm smiling.
She's drunk right now. She's drunk
I might
right
be a little
now.
buzzed from last night. Doesn't seem to leave your system. Just keep going and going.
So, and you had a big night last night premiering the new show, Chelsea Does.
Oh, yeah, it was great. I've never sat through a premiere of my own before. It was awkward and horrible at the same time. You're just like, oh my God, I hate my voice, I hate my face. And then you're like, Chelsea, be positive. But it was great. It was beautiful. I mean, it was so nice to have, Netflix has been amazing, and to have everybody, make it, it's like a whole night, it's like a wedding night. It was fun. We had a great time.
And it's kind of a new experiment, right? Like for
Yeah.
Netflix, this is 4-hour-long specials, each on a different theme. Just to give you a little taste of what the show is like, we'll run a little clip right now. We've got a trailer for it, so we'll show you that, give you a little taste.
So this is happening. Do you want to get married when you get older? Because I'm not married. And how old do you all think that I am?
20.
That's right.
Has there ever been a pot you've smoked that you didn't like?
Pot's like sex. Some's better than others, but it's all good.
When I got in trouble with the Anti-Defamation League, it was because Chewie dressed up as Hitler. It was Hanukkah, in my defense. I think it is so important to be able to make fun of stereotypes.
Tell me the last time you visited an American Indian reservation.
Probably the last time I was at a casino.
See, there you go.
Okay.
I mean, seriously, I would love to see what that life is like.
She is leading the charge, live streaming on the internet.
Silicon Valley is very interesting to me because now I'm on Netflix, and what is streaming? I'm not really sure.
I'm just trying to understand why people do this. I've known about Ashley Madison, but I didn't know that you guys were married and you don't cheat.
Not yet.
Hey there.
Hey, girl.
So you think I am a robot?
You
what
think-
makes you say that?
So
what
wait.
kind would...
Sorry.
Are you trying to annoy me?
The only way we break down barriers is we've got to break them down in our individual lives.
What do you think about sobriety? You
Boring.
Yeah.
If I am really fucked up,
My dog's like so judgmental. My whole reason for doing a documentary was because I'm questioning things that I never did before and saying to the world, this is how I feel. I want to live in a place where a person of every color is able to hit on me. I'd like to be spiritual. I just felt and touched my vagina a lot. I'm not opposed to that. I don't mean to be judgmental. Wow, that's so stupid. But I am on me. She looks like she just climaxed.
So you leave E and you start this new project at Netflix. This is also sort of the appetizer, right, for what will then become a regular talk show that you'll be hosting on Netflix. It'll stream as well.
Yeah. Like a little bridge to my new personality.
So what is it? What are you finding out about this new personality? What was the process of putting this thing together like, and how did you settle on these 4 topics?
Well, I wanted just to do something really outside of my comfort zone, and I don't really have any business doing a documentary, so I thought, why not try that? You know, I wanted just to be scared and not comfortable, and I just really wanted to, like, you know, just be curious and talk to real people and have real conversations and have honest conversations. And so I went to Netflix and said, hey, what about this, like, you know, what if I do 4 documentaries? And they're so cool. They're like, yeah, totally. That's a great idea. And I just had these 4 topics because I wanted to do something I knew a little bit about and research topics that I kind of don't know anything about, you know? And I wanted to blend the 2 and have them all be kind of different and independent. And I wanted to go at, like, you know, like for racism, I wanted to go at a serious topic in a lighthearted way because it's hard, you know, most documentaries are very serious and I don't want anybody to think that I think I'm a documentarian. I don't. And I hired these...
God forbid.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would never. But we have these, I have this great, Eddie is here, my director, and Morgan Neville, and Eddie Schmidt and Morgan Neville, and they, I just said, yeah, please give them a round of applause. Thanks. And they just kind of pushed me, and I had them steer the ship because they knew what they're doing, and they knew what they were doing, and they did it. And then they, you know, I didn't want to be in charge, and they're in charge, and this is their wheelhouse. So it ended up being a great experiment for me, and made me realize what I really want to be doing, you know. And I just love that I was able to, like, take a leap like that with Netflix because I don't know who else would, you know, fund that.
Well, I love that you said you found out what you really want to be doing. So what is that? What do you really want to be doing? I mean, obviously, you're at a point in your career where you've got best-selling books, you could tour on the comedy circuit, you could do any number of things right now. What is it that you want to be doing?
I want to just be challenging myself. I want to have interesting, you know, if you're going to be in this entertainment industry, we're not saving lives, so at least keep it interesting. I want to, like, talk to people and have real conversations. I want my opinion to get changed. I want to talk about more, you know, celebrities are great once in a while, not every day. I mean, who cares? You know? And I exhausted that, so I just want to get good at something else, and I want to, like, learn, and I want my audience to kind of, I think we're all, you know, I'm ready to grow up a little, and in a fun way, though, and not in a, like, you know, I'm here to proselytize or tell you what to do. I think that you can get information and have a more well-rounded show and talk about everything, you know, talk about politics and talk about what, you know, the great beauty of Netflix is that you're everywhere in the world. So you have access to every part of the world. I mean, there are 190 countries now. There are only 198 countries. They're there everywhere. So I'll never be able to go on vacation again. I didn't think that one through at all.
And speaking of range of material, Morgan, you've worked on all kinds of different projects, both in your own films and through your work with Warrior Poets. The film that you're producing here is set in Mongolia. But you're also still hard at work on Inside Man, and we're going to show a little trailer to catch us up on what's happening with Inside Man.
Yeah, this is a clip from an episode of season 4.
So this is the kitchen. How's this room killing me?
So I would definitely recommend never microwaving in plastic. There are chemicals called phthalates that are leaching from the plastic into your food. It's associated with birth defects and with lower sperm counts.
Yeah, what else is like stopping me from procreating?
Canned foods because of BPA. BPA is associated with breast cancer and other cancers, but also obesity and diabetes.
What about these? That seems like a very natural color.
It's Smurf blue. That's not great for you.
Man, you're ruining all my fun.
So I see here that you have strawberries.
Strawberry season.
Because pesticides can affect development, it can affect fertility, it can affect a lot of things.
My aunt, just so you can get a sense of where I come from and my family, my aunt washes all her fruits and vegetables with bleach.
I wouldn't recommend that. Processed American cheese.
Yeah.
You want to have food with as few ingredients as possible.
How many ingredients are in this? Let's see. Milk, cheese, culture, salt, enzymes, water, milk fat, whey, modified potato starch, milk protein concentrate, sodium citrate, tricalcium phosphate, salt, citric acid, sorbic acid, lactic acid, annatto, oleoresin, paprika, and vitamin B3. That's a lot. But it also does this.
That's impressive.
More reason why you shouldn't eat this.
Telling on the show these days.
I mean, the great thing about Inside Man is it enables us to dive into serious issues like this, like toxins, where you can talk about what you're putting in your body and what kills you. We can dive into the space program and why are we continuing to take money away from a place like NASA while places like SpaceX are exploding. I mean, I think the ability for us, and I think as Chelsea is seeing with her show as well, and these docs that she did, is it gives you such a wide tapestry of things you can dive into that you can deal with a serious issue or deal with something that is potentially killing you, but in a way that at the same time is entertaining and can make people laugh.
And we've all seen the Talking Head documentaries. We've seen the documentary Now.
Those are hilarious.
Yeah. And you two are after a very different approach. So how does putting yourself front and center allow you to tell a different kind of story?
I just realized I'm trying to do what he's doing. I was watching that. I'm like, that's what I'm trying to do. I think, when you have somebody, I don't know. I think, some people could say, I think it's just good to put yourself out there and ask those questions. And if you're giving information, it's totally responsible. As long as you're not just waxing poetic about, your own interests. If you're actually diving into stuff, and obviously his stuff, what he's talking about, is helpful to everybody who sees it. that can change somebody's trajectory for the rest of their lives. The way they eat or the way they think about, storing things in their home. And I think the most, I think it's good if you have a personality and you have the ability to be out there, then it should be informational. It shouldn't just be like, hi, I'm here, listen to me talk about myself. Let's talk about other stuff.
I think what's great is that ultimately you get to be a tour guide, and I think part of what you can do is, and if somebody trusts you, and people trust Chelsea, people like her, they want to go on this ride with her, people trust the things that I talk about, and I think if I can take you on this ride, this vicarious journey where when I learn something, you learn something, when I feel something, you feel something, when I laugh at something, you laugh at something. I mean, I think that whole idea of kind of us being there together is a special thing, and I think that's what kind of being in the films that I make, I think does for, well, it's what I hope it does for an audience.
I feel like in nonfiction, there's always that tension between sort of how much should I be saying and how much should I be listening? How much of my sources should I be bringing to the story versus how much of my own opinion or my own perspective should I be bringing to the story? Is that, I imagine, with each project that you work on, that ratio must shift almost in the edit. Are there times where you realize you've got to dial yourself back a little bit?
Rule number one in our edit is cut me out first. and then we can because we can put me back in as we need to. But it's like I think ultimately we want to make sure that I'm not taking away from what the story is and kind of the story we're trying to tell.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have other people edit for you and then come in and get it, take a first stab at it, because of course you always want the least amount of yourself in your own voice. But then the project's about you and you're driving it, so of course you have to have the ability to, to command the ship in a certain way and carry you through it. But I think it's obviously much more important to listen. I think obviously that's where you get your information. But I think reactions, like your genuine reactions, when people see you having an honest reaction to anything, then they know they can trust you. And you're not putting on a show, you're being yourself.
And I'd love to talk to you both about working online. The sort of old-fashioned model of network news documentaries, PBS documentaries, is crumbling. Your show's on Netflix, and Morgan, you've worked with everybody from Yahoo to AOL, Maker Studios. As you're trying to do streaming projects and reach out to a different kind of audience, how's that changed what you're doing versus, say, being on E!
I don't know. I'm not really curtailing it based on who my audience is. I mean, it's something definitely to think about, but I think you're just trying to be as authentic as possible and bring what your flavor.
And as honest as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you're going to go out there and do your thing, and don't be scared to make a fool out of yourself. I
think the thing that's been really awesome from a digital standpoint, which I think Chelsea's experienced at Netflix and we have with all of the digital partners we've gotten to work with in the past, is the freedom that you have. Like, there is the companies, most of them really want to make some noise and they want to make some attention. They want to let creative people be creative. So they don't want to be there to kind of stifle your voice and stifle what you have to say. So they give you a lot of leeway. And I think that's the exciting part. You're not beholden to an advertiser. You're not beholden to, a commitment they have or what you can and can't talk about for ad dollars and ad revenue, which makes a really big difference.
And when you're looking at subject material, Chelsea, it seems like you went bold. Like, there's a way you could have gone for something a little less huge than, say, race for an hour-long special. The 4 subjects are marriage, racism, Silicon Valley, and drugs.
Yes, the drugs are very close to home for me.
And you both have experience ingesting things on film.
We're soulmates.
This is meant to be.
I gotta make these connections where I can't. But so we see you smoking pot with Willie Nelson, also ayahuasca.
Yeah,
right?
Ayahuasca is like, we went to Peru and did ayahuasca, which was something I probably wouldn't have done in my own personal life because I'm not that interested in it. But I started reading all these stories about people and having like these transcendent experiences and life-changing, epiphanies, and that did not happen for me. But it was still worth it. Like, I love, any experience you can have that you haven't had before is worthwhile, even if it's not great. For me, it was a great time and it was fine, but I didn't change my life. I'm not that stupid. But another thing that Netflix funded, it's like, can I go to Peru and do ayahuasca with a shaman? They're like, yeah, we don't see why not. I mean, it's like, all right, great. And that's not flattering. I mean, I'm vomiting on camera. Like, that's obviously not my first choice for an edit. So that's why you have people like put it together. And when you want to say like any moment of vanity, I want to go, shut up, don't. Like if I don't look good or you have to stop that, because that's exactly the message I'm trying to send. And not that I'm sending a message, but I'm trying to just portray life the way it really is: the good, the bad, the pretty, and the ugly.
Yeah. So like most of the time, the uglier you are, the better it is, because ultimately that's the most honest thing that's happening. Right. Yeah.
And when she talks about using the show as an opportunity,
not Chelsea in particular,
don't
but
worry. I was just fantasizing about our wedding. Can't believe you're having a baby with someone else.
I'm sorry, what were you saying? A shaman who could preside. do you when Chelsea talks about the idea that she's able to go pursue these stories as things that she would genuinely just want to know about in general, it seems like your interests have taken you in all kinds of interesting directions. Yeah. What have you been working on lately?
I mean, I think that's the exciting thing is, what we've been able to do post Super Size Me, which now has been 12 years ago when we premiered it here at Sundance, which is remarkable. We've been able to help other filmmakers get movies made, which is, the film that we have here, Eagle Huntress, is a film that we came on to help the filmmaker finish the film, produce it, deliver it, get it into Sundance. I mean, it's been awesome. But the stories we get to tell, both from a digital standpoint and from a feature film standpoint, there's stories that are meant to be 90 minutes. There's some that are meant to be an hour and are great for television. There's some that are better for 30. There's some that that are better for 10, like we're doing on our streaming partnership and our channel that we have with Smartish, on Maker Studios. So I feel like that's what's been exciting for me is now because of this explosion of content, the explosion of possibilities, the number of people you can work with, we have so many other places to tell stories. And as storytellers, it's great for us. Like now is a great time to be a producer. It's a great time to be a filmmaker. It's an amazing time to be a storyteller because there are so many places where you can get those out and into the world. New York Times, an op doc for 3 minutes. I mean, it's fantastic what you can do today that you couldn't do 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Like, for instance, create a talk show from scratch. And in an age where, like, a lot of talk shows seem, I don't know, a little stodgy, and certainly a bunch of white guys lined up in a row, and the Vanity Fair spread that doesn't include you in that spread in terms of people who have been successful in late night. Do you feel a greater pressure knowing that you're
A woman?
a woman? Yeah.
No, I like being the only girl. It's great. I mean, no. I'm so sick of people asking that question, actually. It's like, I don't think of myself like that. I don't think about, like, oh, I'm in a boys' club. And those shows are boring, but like, they're all the same. And it's like a rotation of celebrities talking about nothing. And so that's the last thing I want to do. That's the last kind of entertainment I want to provide. I want to be original, and the great thing about creating something from the ground up is that it's all yours. You get to decide about everything, and you get to work with people that are inspiring. You get to choose everything, every little element of it. So the attraction for me is always to do something that I don't see, that I haven't seen yet. I'm like, okay, what can I do that's a little bit more original? Obviously, you're always stealing from somebody, whether you realize it or not, because in some capacity it's been done, but I think you can always just add your own flavor to something and have real originality. And that's what I really care about the most.
And what is doing these 4 specials taught you? Well, you've obviously been trying out lots of different ideas and approaches. As you think about the more long-term project, what are you finding your way towards?
I think just, I just want to be interested in what I'm doing. And I think if you are interested, it's interesting. So that's all, I think it's great to talk to real people. You have so many things that you're interested in your life. Like you're interested in politics or sports or global issues or human interest stories. Like one of my favorite shows is Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. I don't follow sports at all. I've never watched anything. But I love the way they do that show because it's about a human, it's human interest, really. And it's stories. It's so well done, and you watch something like that makes you feel something. How often on television do you walk away and you're like, oh my God, I want to do something like that. I want to have an impact in that way. So that's all. I just want to be, brave and do things that other people are scared to do, and film it.
And in terms of what that show will actually look like at this point, do you know, sort of in terms of format-wise? And
we're getting there, yeah. These docs served as a bridge for me into tonally and what, like, the direction I'm moving into and what I want to do more of.
And I want to ask you both about humor, because I feel like sometimes you're always, I think anybody who's hysterical, people I admire a lot, are always kind of pushing that edge of how far humor can take you, And I wonder if you hit moments working on your show where you struggled to find the way to use your personality and your sense of humor, given how grim some of the material that you cover can be. Like, for instance, in your race issue, I think you do a lot of very difficult stuff in that issue.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I would say it's good to balance you can't always just try to be funny. It doesn't matter. You should, as long as there's real interest and you're being genuine, I think you get angry, you get mad, you talk back to somebody, or you get into a confrontation with somebody, which I like. I like conflict. It's interesting. People walk away, at least it's real, it's gritty. And I think you do too, obviously. You like to you want to, when you have a good sense of humor, you don't have to be funny all the time. You just have to be paying attention.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is, as long as you're yourself, people aren't expecting to laugh, for 20 minutes. They know it's not a sitcom. People are on this ride knowing that they trust in you to take them in there, that they're going to have fun. It's going to be serious at times, and they're not expecting jokes. But I do believe that what Chelsea's done with her show and what we've tried to do with everything we're doing is there is a key to humor. And I mean, and Jon Stewart did a really an amazing job with it on The Daily Show. If you can make someone laugh, you can make someone listen. That is the key. The key to humor is suddenly I'm not hectoring you. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm just taking you into this world. By making you laugh, your barrier comes down. You become open to the information that we have. And suddenly, you might actually change your point of view. And I think that is, we're coming in at a very specific place where ultimately we want to be entertaining first. We do want to have something that's incredibly entertaining to an audience, but we do want you to walk away with something that is informational and I think hopefully valuable to you.
And it's so hard right now, I feel, with things shifting so fast, to understand who our audiences are, whether it's people working in newspapers or people making films. Obviously, with 190 countries, does that almost free you up to not think about who your particular audience might be or what demographic you're going after?
I don't think you can ever go after a demographic. I think if you go after, then you lose. You know what I mean? You have to you can't think on that in those terms.
You're in meetings going, is it going to play in Nepal?
Yes, it's going to go over in Nepal. No, I mean, I just assume, that no one in another country will ever see it. I'm still working under that assumption. Like, I don't think about it in that way because I think, once you aim too hard, you kind of lose your mark.
Well, once you try to please everybody, then you don't please anybody.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. And I think you have to basically say, this is my voice, this is my vision, this is what I believe in, and that's what's gotten me to where I am, and I'm going to stay true to that, and hopefully it'll keep working. Yeah.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about Eagle Huntress, and then we'll run a clip of that, the film you're producing here.
Yeah, so this film is amazing. Otto Bell, the director, came to me about 15 months ago after he saw a photo essay on the BBC. He was in London, saw a photo essay of this girl whose father had basically said he was going to start training her to be an eagle hunter, which, 2,000 years of Mongolian history, this has never happened. This is an incredibly male-dominated culture, male-dominated country. And here's this 13-year-old girl that this incredibly forward-thinking, awesome father says, I'm going to do this, and starts to train her for the first time ever. And so Otto read this article, flew there immediately with a camera crew to say, hey, maybe we could shoot something with you, maybe we could make a film or document this process. And the father says, well, we're going to go steal a baby eagle chick tomorrow. Would you want to film that? And it was like, yes, we would. And like out of that came this incredible movie that we're here with this weekend that is one of the most beautiful things you'll ever see. It plays like a fable. It plays like you're watching this, you're like, this can't, it's so unreal that it's real. And it is gorgeous and stunning, and you feel like you're watching a movie on the moon because Mongolia is such a whole nother world, and it is really magical.
And we've got a clip with the young girl. Do you want to tell us a little about the young girl?
Yeah, so Ashulpan, who is just this radiant creature. She is this incredible girl who just lights up the screen, who is a magical presence. She's here with her whole family. It's the first time they've ever been in the West, first time they've ever been to the United States, let alone Park City. It is awesome. And they're walking around like this the whole time. It's like it is a massive, overwhelming experience for them, but it is so special. But she's lovely. She's really lovely. And now she's 14 now. She'll be 15 this year. We're really proud of this movie, and we've had some amazing people come on to support it. We have, Sia came on to do the theme song for the film. Daisy Ridley, who played Rey in Star Wars, has just come on as an executive producer because there's no greater, I think, example of like girl power out there in the world today than her. And it's an amazing team around this just like beautiful little movie who really believe in this girl. Yeah.
And we'll take a look at a clip.
Таудан бастан қой беріп қайтып шақыртыңыздан көрсетейін. Біздің бүркітшілер тойының ең алғашқы бастамасы осы шақырудан басталады. Жарайсың қызым, әдемі ұстадық. Ал балам, енді мына құсты сен өзің шақырып үйрен. Міне биік тауға шығып қой беріп ұқтың ба? Айға көтер ал. Айға сөйтіп, мына ұста. Қадап айғайда. Төрешілер бұл шақыруға, сол төрешілер отырысына қарайды. Біреу енді құс шыққанда қайтып ұшты. Уақытын ішті ма деген сияқты шақыру деп айтады. Секундқа қарайды. жағында сенімдік тағы пайда болды да маған. Енді мынау енді нағыз шыңданып енді бүріктеріне қатысуға жарайтындай болған екен деп.
And I'll just ask you a little bit about the logistics of pulling off that film.
Yeah, this is just so you know where we're filming in Mongolia. Mongolia is the least populated country in the world, and we were filming in the most remote part of the least populated country in the world. That I think from the time you left our office to where we would actually get where we were filming, it was almost a full 2 days to kind of get to location. And you know, the logistics of getting there was a nightmare, but it's worth it. You know, the story it's one of those things that is so special that we were like, whatever it takes to get this done, we're going to see it through.
And I wonder, Chelsea, I was just thinking about how you were talking about the fact that you like to put yourself in these uncomfortable situations. You know?
Much like today.
Yeah. Hopefully not. What was the most uncomfortable moment filming these 4 episodes?
Well, I had to do a lot of stuff in marriage, like with my, they wanted me to meet my they're like, we're gonna have to get some of your ex-boyfriends on camera. I'm like, no way. I'm like, they are not speaking to me. No one is speaking to me that I've dated. And then I'm like, who's the one I've went out with the farthest away from us not speaking? And I'm like, he must be speaking to me by now. And it was great. It ended up being so great. Everyone should. I dated the guy that I dated when I was 20. We had on camera, and I dated him for 2 years when I was 20 years old. So for him to kind of talk about our relationship and talk about me at that age, it was so weird. And just you realize I've always been the way that I am. I was like, oh my God, I was such a mess. And I'm like, well, I guess that's always what I've been doing. But it was sweet, and then I had to go on dates with some guys. I mean, that's awful. And being on camera, it was just made me sick. But I did it. But yeah, that was probably the most awkward. I mean, other confrontation doesn't bother me. I like that. I hate people who who are so conflict averse, they can't handle it. It's just you can have a conversation like that and not be mad at the person. You can have a conversation where you disagree with somebody and it not be a bad thing. It's informative. It can even change your opinion. I love to get my opinion changed. I love to think I know something and then have somebody explain to me how wrong I am.
What's the most uncomfortable position you've been in recently?
Ooh,
work-wise. Work-wise.
Most uncomfortable work-wise. I would say in the last season of Inside Man, we did an episode all about medical tourism. And one of the things that I did on camera was, because we went to a foreign country. We went to Thailand to talk about medicine there and how different it is compared to America. And there's so many people who are traveling there to get medical procedures done. And so I went over there and did a whole kind of full body workup while I was there. And one of the things they said is, well, we should do a colonoscopy with you. But rather than do a typical colonoscopy, we have this camera that you can swallow. And so I swallowed this pill that has a camera in it that we were documenting for 24 hours straight as this thing's kind of going through my body. First, you have to flush your body, which that's the one process. So you're just drinking stuff that just makes you go to the bathroom to flush your body.
What? I need some of that.
So we're done. So you'll be on the potty nonstop. I was on the shitter for full 6 hours straight. So then the next morning you finally take the camera because you're clean, and so this camera goes into me, and you're wearing this little recording device on you all day, and then they say it should come out anywhere between 5 and 8 hours depending what's there. So then all you're waiting for is going to the bathroom, and so I'd take the camera. I was like, this could be it, and we'd run to the bathroom, and they'd shoot me sitting on the toilet. No, not now. And then we'd go back and shoot for another hour, and then I was like, oh no, this is it. And we'd go back to the toilet, in the stall, camera in front of me, cameraman standing there. Nope, not this time. And then finally, the third time, we go in the stall. It's I'm sitting there, and you're now at this point I want it out so badly. And so the cameraman is there shooting me as I'm forcing with all my might to have everything kind of, imagine you're icing a cake and you're getting that last bit of icing out of the thing. And so I'm squeezing the icing out, and all of a sudden I look down in the toilet and it has a beacon on it. And so I look down in the toilet, and the toilet's flashing, and I'm so excited. I'm screaming in the bathroom, while meanwhile all of these Thai people are outside, like looking at the door, not knowing what's going on. They're like, he's really excited to be in the bathroom. So that was probably my most uncomfortable recently. Yes.
No one will ever ice a cake the same way again.
That's right. Yeah. You can see that on Netflix right now, season 3 of Inside Man.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Yeah.
You've been talking about honest and sort of authentic responses to big issues in the culture. We're in election season. What do you make right now of the discussion over, say, the economy and the way the GOP's debates are going versus the way the Democrats' debates are going? Whose way of talking about this do you think works?
You can start.
I'll start. First off, you watch the Democratic side, and it seems like adults are having a conversation when the Democratic debates, and then you watch the Republican debates, and it's spectacular. It is one of the greatest things you could watch on television right now. But
it's like a reality show.
It is like a reality show. But then the more you watch, the reality sets in that could actually be our president. And as Trump gets further along in the polls, the more you continue to think like, he could still be the president. This could actually happen. So there's a fear that starts to set in now on top of the hilarity. I think of the comedy and the funny that could come when he's elected, not in a good way. Because as they're already trying to bar him from ever being able to visit the UK, like Parliament is trying to pass a bill that would ban him from London and Great Britain.
I love that.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, it's so great. Like to say we don't want you here is great to say to somebody. You know, it's a ballsy move. I mean, it's embarrassing. It's very embarrassing.
Go ahead. Please continue.
There's more.
Just thinking about him. It's like, oh my God, you just can't believe it. Yeah. That's it. I don't have to say anything about this. You said it.
Sometimes when I watch the GOP debates, there's a talk that we talked about this a little bit yesterday with Norman Lear and Lena Dunham. This idea that candidates in some ways are cloaking themselves as sort of anti-political correctness. And on your show, actually, you talk about, you're sick of political correctness, so you like to be able to say and confront issues rather than sort of avoid them or talk about them in polite terms. Do you feel in some way like how do you feel about the way that the candidates are using political correctness in the way they talk about their beliefs right now?
I don't know that they are using political correctness. I mean, who is using it? I mean, Hillary.
Denouncing it.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, I think my personal belief about political correctness is that it's not getting us anywhere. We're a mess right now, so it doesn't work. And I think there's a fine line between, being vitriolic and being silly. Like, you can say things like, black people are late. Who gives a shit about that? That's not mean-spirited. Jews are cheap or women are bad drivers. I don't give a shit if somebody calls me a bad driver. Those aren't things to get upset about. It's mean when there's malice. And when there is no malice, I think it affords you to have a conversation, a more healthy discussion about things. When people aren't on guard and trying to be, politically correct. So as far as they go, with regard to them, I would prefer to see less of it, personally, less of the political correctness, I mean, not as much as you're seeing with Donald Trump, he's a mess. But you want your leader to be a leader, so they have to have a little bit more, they have to be a little bit more together than the average person. And I think, I personally think Hillary Clinton is completely capable in every capacity to do this job. And I'm not even a big fan of hers. I think she's the right person to do the job, People are like, when they talk about her and she's not warm enough, you're not hanging out with her, She's not going to be coming over to your place. She doesn't have to be warm. I don't want my president to be warm. I don't need that from them.
We've tried that.
Yeah.
We've got some time for questions, so I'm going to open it up to the floor. We'll pass around some microphones. We'll start way up here in the front. Thank you.
Thank you. Chelsea, I'm so glad you're going to be back on Netflix. You were part of my night ritual for a lot of years, and I've missed you. So,
Thank you.
So welcome back. I was watching you watch your clip, and you had a very critical eye, I thought, when you were watching it. So we were laughing, and you weren't. Do you crack yourself up when you're by yourself?
Yeah.
And what cracks you
I laugh all
up?
the time. I'm always laughing by myself. I just think everything's funny. Mostly. Everything is funny to me, you know? I don't know. I do laugh a lot. I don't know what cracks me up. Just people and their weirdness, you know? Everybody's so weird a little bit. I like it. I don't know what makes me laugh. I can't think of something specific that makes me laugh. Almost everything does. I grew up in a household where we were laughing all the time, and it was very sarcastic, which is like very one note, you know? And I'm so sarcastic that you have to lighten it up a little, I think. So every time something goes wrong, I just start laughing.
Take another question. How about way there in the back?
So I have a question for Morgan and a question for Chelsea after that. Morgan, it's been 12 years, like you said, since Super Size Me. And I personally can't see a McDonald's still without thinking about that film. How often do you go to McDonald's now? And what are your thoughts about it?
March 2nd, 2003 was the last time I set foot in a McDonald's. So that was it, yeah. Yeah. So listen, I think there's much better places to get a burger. So why waste your time and energy? Yeah.
Thank you. And then Chelsea, real quick, have you ever heard from Putin after you did the topless photos?
No, but I'm going to Russia next week. I am. We're going to film stuff in Russia, and I'm trying to get to him. I want to go horseback riding with him.
Thank you.
We've got another question over here on the side. Thank you.
So this is for both of you. Doing a documentary, how did it change you personally, and how do you want it to affect your viewers? Because you were saying you're going through all these issues, and in school we read a book called Satire Saving the Nation. So what should we take away from this watching it?
You go.
Okay, so I think that the greatest thing that I get out of doing this is I learn. I mean, it's an education for me as I go through this as much as it's an education for you when you watch it. And I think that's what makes it real, and that's what makes it honest and fantastic. Like, you know, we're in this together, and I think those moments really make a big difference. So, I think I hope the takeaway is that ultimately you find that path for you of the stories you want to tell, and you chase that path. I think that ultimately you can emulate what somebody else does, or you can try to do what someone else does, but ultimately I think you have to be true to you and your voice first and foremost, because those are the stories that matter most to you.
Ditto.
We'll do a question right here.
Hi guys, I've had the opportunity to work with both of you, and I think you're both amazing. I watched it. You can download the Netflix all 4 series last night. I stayed up all night and watched it and laughed all night long.
Thank you.
Is there any chance of you guys ever working together on a project?
We should work
because
together.
You're both so amazing.
We should totally do something
That's right.
together.
Ted Sarandos, you should call me immediately. Yes.
We should do something, definitely.
I would love that.
Yeah.
So it's on the
Done.
broadcast.
You just brokered it. You just brokered the marriage.
There you go.
Yeah.
In the purple right here.
This question's for Chelsea. I really liked what you were saying about challenging yourself, and you're sick of the girl question. What advice do you have for female entrepreneurs who are kind of paving the way like you did with comedy within their own specific industry?
Just work your ass off. Like, never be scared to work hard, and show up to everything you're supposed to, no matter what shape you're in.
Next, right over here in the red.
Hi, this one's for Chelsea too. Who makes
Sorry,
you
Morgan.
laugh?
He makes me laugh. You've got a great personality. I forgot about that. I haven't seen him in a long time, and I need to watch your shows. I'm like, when you were just talking about Super Size Me, I'm like, the impact that had, like when you can say you've accomplished something like that, talk about the impact for all of us to know what the hell we're putting in our bodies. You know, what an amazing achievement for you. I would love to be able to do stuff like that, you know?
Absolutely. Who's influenced you in the past?
No
Your
one
20s.
influences me. Honestly, everyone asks me that question. I wish I had a good answer, but I really try not to be too influenced. I mean, not consciously anyway. You know, I think you're always kind of mimicking other people as you go along the way because you find out what you're attracted to or what you're drawn to creatively. And so I just, whatever I see something, I try and do the opposite of what I'm seeing. I want to do, you know, so it's like I don't know that I have that many influences. I think the influence has the opposite effect on me. It drives me in the opposite direction.
What about your family?
My brother, maybe Glenn, is an influencer on me because his opinions, yeah. Like when we talk about heavy stuff, I always just form his opinion. I'm like, that's what I think too. And then I start spouting it like it's my own opinion. You know, yeah, I do. He influences me, but my sisters don't.
Let's do a question from this side. How about down over here? We'll get a microphone to you. Wait just 1 second. Thanks.
Yeah, Mr. Spurlock, can you talk about the challenges in producing the Eagle Huntress and what some of the hardest things were that you encountered?
I mean, I think the hardest thing anytime you're making a movie halfway around the world is you know, dealing with crews halfway around the world. It's dealing with a language that, you know, you have to deal with translators and different people who are communicating in different ways. And there's sometimes in cultures people don't like to say no, so they say yes meaning no. And well, I thought we were doing this. No, that meant no. No, that yes meant no. Now I get what we should be doing. We're not doing that. We're going to do something else. So I think the hardest thing for that is the time that it takes to communicate halfway around the globe and you know, making sure you're not wasting money because, you know, it's expensive to get there. It's expensive to be on the ground. And you want to make sure that every time, every dime, every second that you're there is hopefully creating the best story possible. But it's difficult.
Great. How about right here?
Hi, it's for everybody on the stage. I'm seeing that this medium is very collaborative. How do you choose team members and how do you maintain relationships with them and how do you set boundaries?
It's good boundaries. Have no boundaries.
No boundaries.
Bites you in the ass every time. I don't know, boundaries are boring.
Well, I think the greatest policy you can have, especially because it is a marriage when you start making movies and TV shows and you're with people a lot of time. You're spending, you know, days, weeks, you know, late nights with people. I think having a strict no asshole policy is a great thing. Like you want this to be somebody you want to hang out with and have conversations with and work with. I mean, it's like ultimately it should be fun. Like you shouldn't be going to work. I mean, we are lucky to get to do what we do every day, and it should never be stressful. I mean, it can be stressful, but it should never be like, oh, I got to work with this guy or I got to talk to that girl now. It's like ultimately you want to make sure that everybody's in your camp is like a team and you're all together and are fighting for the same thing.
Yeah, I think that, you know, obviously, that's exactly. You're with these people all the time, and I think it's a numbers game. You know, eventually you're going to get to all the good people. You know, you're always going to meet a bunch, you know, you always have to go through, like, dirty laundry to get to the good stuff, I think. And that's just going to happen regardless of where you are, what you do for a living. You're always going to find people, but when you find good people, you know, you just have to be as good to them as possible so you don't lose them.
That's right. You never want to let them go.
Next question. Way in the back over here. Oh, this side, actually. Thank you.
This question's for Chelsea. My question is, from a creative perspective, what were some of the greater challenges you had in making this that you weren't anticipating or that you did encounter?
You know, nothing was too hard to do. It was just challenging in the way of, like, you know, learning how to do it, a new thing. It was just anathema to me. So I didn't really know what I was doing, and I enjoyed that process. So it wasn't, nothing was ever like, I can't do it. I know I can do it. You can do whatever. Just do it. And just, you know, just go out there and do it. And you'll figure it out, you know. And if you fall and if some things don't work, you know, then they don't work, and you know next time that doesn't work for you. But I think anytime you're trying something new, you just have to you know, put yourself out there and be brave and be like, all right, it doesn't matter if I look stupid in front of everybody right now. It's part of the process. And that's a good reminder, I think, for everything in life, you know, for me.
Thank you.
So I have a question. So as you're launching this new show, how much of what you see that you shot actually made it into the show? Since you're doing something new, you're trying to figure out a format. Like how much did you shoot that didn't make it in?
There was some stuff for these docs that we shot that didn't make it in, like because it's a totally different tone. So there's definitely stuff that we shot. I mean, we may use it elsewhere later down the road for my regular show, or I don't know, maybe not. But maybe like 10% of the footage we didn't use, you know? If someone's a real dud.
Question right here on the aisle.
Chelsea, you're very funny.
Did you propose to me last night at my screening?
I did not.
Oh, you're somebody that...
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Somebody that looked like you did.
No, I didn't. Okay, so, but thank you for asking.
That is a high bar she has set for you, my friend.
Yeah, no.
What do you want?
Nothing. I'm Vincent. I just wanted to see comedy as catharsis. So both of you are very vulnerable in both these and both funny, Inside the Man. And where's the journey? Did you have any kind of epiphanies? Because this is like therapy almost. And did you have epiphanies going through this journey and showing the world like the beautiful side and the real side?
Yeah, I had a little epiphany. I wouldn't say like it was, I mean, I've always been so opposed to marriage for the reasons of like, I want to be strong, I want to be independent, I want to be fierce. Nobody can say, blah, blah. Like, and it's so harsh. It was such a harsh kind of point of view. So now I definitely feel like, I think I feel a little softer than I did before. I feel like, okay, yeah, I want to be in love. We all want to be in love. It's okay to say it. It's okay to want it. Or, be open to it. It's okay. It doesn't make you like a girl, Like it doesn't make me weak because I want to be, in a relationship. And that was for the marriage documentary. Definitely, I was like, oh wow, I do want to be in a relationship. Why do I act like I don't? And so that was cool for me because I'm 40. I can grow up a little. Do you want to propose now?
No.
Why are you acting like we're not getting married? I want you to be my boyfriend.
We'll do a question right here. I almost had my first on-air marriage.
It's
so
romantic.
Both of you in your documentaries allow yourself to be so vulnerable and open, and the subject of your documentaries is you're exploring and learning and kind of, letting go of caring what other people think and having this fearlessness to it. Is that something that you've always had or that you've cultivated? Because it just seems like such a great way to connect with others, to be so fearless and to be so open and vulnerable.
I think you get more confident in time. Like once you know what you're good at, and I mean, I'm sure after years of being on stage, Chelsea probably got very confident about who she is after shooting films and doing so many TV shows. I know what I'm good at, and I know where I can go in and still put myself in an uncomfortable situation, but not be so uncomfortable that I don't feel like we can get a story or I can't tell a story. And I feel like just in life in general, the more you can put yourself in uncomfortable situations, the better human you'll be on the other side of that. So I think that, for me, it's kind of something that we continue to drive with the stuff we make is what terrible things could we put me into that will deliver the best story at the end? Yeah.
Another one. How about over here?
So I see both of you as highly influential, and in fact, when I saw the Inside Man clip, the first thing I thought was to call my parents and tell them to stop eating canned food. So my question is, as you're educating yourselves and then thus educating us, how much research do you put into formulating these opinions? Where do you draw the line of, here's my experience, let me just share it, versus let me look into some of the research behind this? And then also, if you do have an opinion on some of the topics you're looking at, how do you prevent some of your biases that you had before the experience from creeping into your work?
I think you let your bias creep into your work. I think it's good to have opinions, I think it's good to have a strong opinion about something. And I don't think you prevent it. I think you do exactly the opposite. Just let yourself, your personality is what's driving it. Anyone who's watching me is watching me because they like my personality. So I'm not going to shy away from myself. Dive into it. Like, get into your personality and highlight all the little intricacies and the nuances that make you an individual. And that's also true for everything, I think, because you're going to have a different reaction. We're all going to have different reactions to everything. So. And I also think, like, you can have your opinion, but especially with what we're trying to do is the most important thing is to tell the truth. The most important thing is to be honest. Like, what I don't want to do is I don't believe in this world of, well, you have to tell both sides of the story. No, you don't. This thing, smoking causes cancer. We don't need to tell the other side. Well, a lot of people really like it. It's we should talk about that. It's like, no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. You should talk about the facts and tell the truth, and that's the most important thing.
In the back over here.
Hi, this question's for Chelsea. So you're my sister from another mister. You really are, but you are very uninhibited. How do you overcome that? How are you able to do all the zany things that you do without being like, oh my God, that was zany? You know what I mean?
I think once you just throw your hat into the ring, you're in the game and you just have to go for it. I think it's not, inhibition bores me. I want to be interested in myself too, and in other people. When people are, when you see somebody who's shy or like insecure, of course I'm insecure. I'm insecure about a million things. I don't like how fat I feel today, and that's stupid. But, you're like, when you see people that are insecure or somebody that's like not comfortable, my heart aches. I just want people to be bolder and be like, it's okay, you're enough, you're good enough. And I think the more you get comfortable being uninhibited, the easier it comes, and then it doesn't even feel like you're doing anything special. Yep. You're just being a real person. And why not have 100% of an experience every time you have it, or try to?
Yeah, I think the key to taking risks is to start taking risks. Because the more risks you take, the less risky they feel as you go down the road. The next thing you know, you just have confidence in the choices you make, and they don't seem risky. It just seems like life. And I think that the key is just to start taking those more and more often, and then they don't. It's just part of who you are.
In the back.
Hi, this question is for Chelsea. I'd just like to know, what was your biggest takeaway when you were tackling race in your docuseries? I think, or I hope, that to some degree we can all agree that racism sucks, but what kept it refreshing and interesting and light, because it's such a heavy topic?
It got heavy. It definitely got heavy. My takeaway from that was like going down to the South and talking to people about racism and finding out how little we've come. We haven't come far at all. It's bad. Look what's happening in this country with kids getting shot, like unarmed boys getting shot by police officers when they're running away. That's really scary. That's really scary. People think we have a black president, so everything's done. Like we're all right. No, we're not. And I think that was the most alarming thing. People talking about like slavery was a good institution for a lot of things. It helped a lot of people. I was like, what? You can't even believe somebody could say such a thing, but they believe it so truly in their heart that they think it's okay to say. When you believe something so vehemently, you can just say it. And I that was alarming, and it made me sad, obviously, but it made me sad because obviously, anyone could say, oh, I'm a white girl talking about race, what do I know? Well, I want to talk about what I don't know, and I didn't know that. I can't believe that that's still happening, and it made me read all these books on, I didn't know where slavery began exactly, and who started it, and who were the original abolitionists, and all these things, and it sparked that kind of interest in my brain, which is the most I could ever hope for with that, is to start the conversation about it, so that we can keep moving forward and get to where we need to go.
We'll take one last question, standing up in the back.
Morgan, you talked about putting yourself in uncomfortable positions and trying to find the line there. Is there a difference between when you're putting yourself in an uncomfortable position and when you're dragging your entire crew and putting other people in really uncomfortable positions?
Oh, my crew loves it. Yeah. No, I think that ultimately most of the time they may be in an uncomfortable position, but they're not as as an uncomfortable position as I'm in. So I think that from their standpoint, they're there to help support me and to tell great stories. And while they may not like it, they know I don't like it even more. So that's the win.
I gotta say, you guys had great questions in this Q&A. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming. And thank you, Morgan and Chelsea. Really appreciate it.